Boelt and Rhonda Venable. Welcome to Tongue Tied Ride and Tie Interviews.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. I have wanted to do this for a while, actually. I've almost been remiss in not asking earlier because personally, you two are definitely the first two people I ever met in the ride and tie world. My daughter and wife got me into ride and tie, and we showed up at Biltmore a number of years ago, and Sara was the ride manager. And so I met Sara, and Rhonda and her husband Dave were there as well. And I learned a lot from them. And y'all are just kind of like my big sisters and my mentors in the ride and tie world. And so I'm so thankful for the friendship that we've developed over the years. But you guys, much more importantly than that, have given lots back to our sport over the years. Sara, you've been a ride manager, of course, and you also both have served and are serving on the Ride and Die Board of Directors. Sara, you've been both the president and now you are the vice president. And Rhonda, you are currently the sanctioning officer. And I used to be the sanctioning officer. So I know that you're one of the hardest working board members we have. That's a tough job. And so thanks to both of you for all the work you do to help our sport continue to thrive.
You're welcome. Yep.
Yeah, and I knew you would say that because you don't do it because you want the accolades. You do it because you love the sport.
Yeah.
Well,
Excellent.
The reason that I want to talk to you this time is you guys participated this summer in a rather unique experience, and that was the Shore2Shore ride in Michigan. And so we're going to talk about that in a little bit. It was a 5-day ride, and it was a point-to-point ride, and that's very different from most of our rides. But before we get there, I want to hear a little bit about you and your history. So, Sara, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about how you found out about ride and tie and how you first got started in ride and tie.
Well, I'd heard about it off and on over the years, but my friend who is a veterinarian, Karen, she just said to me one day, "Why don't we try this sport?" And I was like, "Okay, whatever, because I used to show, but I got burned out on showing, and I'd done some LDs, and thought, all right, let's try it." So we took my horse Lighter, we played around with figuring out what to do, and then we went to Big South Fork, and I think it was the September of '09, and did, I think it was an 8-mile ride, and I personally was hooked. And so then that winter, Karen said, "Why don't we manage one at Biltmore?" So we talked Biltmore into hosting one, or letting us rather host one. So we did, and it just kind of took off from there. So anyway, that's how I got started.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention one of the things that's so wonderful about you is that you don't do this as a solitary thing. You have all of your barn rats that you bring to ride and dies. Tell us a little bit about them and about that.
Well, so I teach horseback riding lessons, as everybody knows, and I usually when kids hit, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, 13, they enjoy coming in after school and hanging out at the barn. I tell their moms I am not a babysitter, so they have to hang out, do some work, help, maybe teach the little kids lessons, or teach with the little kids, help anyway. And then, maybe clean some stalls or whatever. So then they become barn rats. So then, I, because they help me, sometimes I'll give them extra rides, and I'm like, "Okay, you want to try ride and tie?" So they're like, "Okay," they hear me talk about it all the time. So we start playing around with it. And then I say, "All right, there's one coming up. If your parents are okay with it, this is what we do. We can go." And that's kind of how it, starts. And then once they really show an interest in it, they help with conditioning rides and conditioning the horses and such. So it's fun. I mean, I think I'm crazy sometimes to bring all these kids, but most of the time I make sure they're self-sustainable kids, and or have that drive and initiative to say, "Okay, I need to go scoop poop out of the paddock," or "I need to go maybe brush the horse after we got done with the ride." So anyway, that's it.
It's always so fun to be around and see all your kids there, and they are always just so wonderful, and we just have a ball with them. So yeah.
They am. I mean, I'm grateful. I've got a good bunch of kids. So.
Yeah. So Rhonda, how did you get involved in ride and tie?
Well, kind of like you, Courtney, my daughter actually wanted to do it. I had gotten out of horses, but she bought a horse, an old quarter horse, and I was running at the time, doing ultra running. And she tripped upon it and was like, "Mom, let's go try it." And So we went to the OD night ride and did it there. And yeah, so we did that one. And then Dave got involved because Lauren, my daughter, we were supposed to do Fort Valley, and she had exams, as it turned out. And so Dave said, well, I'll fill in. Now, he'd only ridden a horse 3 times in his life. But we did it, and we did. And Lonnie told us we were just going to sign up for the 15 mile, but Lonnie's like, oh no, you can easily do the 30. And off we went. And we even won. I mean, but Dave's thing is he just ran from the horse. He was like, that was the secret. I'm just going to run from the horse. But anyway, so that's our
great. And that dovetails so great, because what I remember at Biltmore way back, I think it's 2012 was when I met you guys at Biltmore. I thought you guys were nuts for doing back-to-back 25-mile races, and Sarah and I were going to do a 15-mile. We thought that was just an eternity. And now I do, because of you guys, I do back-to-back all the time as well. So yeah. So real quick, Rhonda, before we move into the Michigan and the Shore2Shore, you were the sanctioning officer, but I didn't explain what that is. So tell us really quickly about what that is, because that's pretty important.
So before anybody we can put on a race, they have to just go to our website and fill out a sanctioning form. And it's just for insurance purposes. So they tell where the race is going to be, who's the ride manager and the responsibility. And then I send it on to the insurance company. They send a certificate back. But that's basically it. It's pretty easy, and it doesn't cost them anything. So we highly encourage, ride managers to do so. I think we're super lucky because on the East Coast, most of the endurance rides managers love having us, and we've just not had any trouble piggybacking. And so with that, the Shore2Shore was just an endurance ride to begin with. But Sarah emailed me and said, do you think they'll do ride and tie? And I went, well, let me check. And that's how it got going. And I emailed the Barb, and she was like, okay. And that's how that went. So
great. And what a great lead in. So keep going, Rhonda. So tell us about the Shore2Shore race, because as I mentioned earlier, it's a little different from most of the races that we do.
Well, I'm gonna get Sarah to tell, because she's actually the one that it was on her bucket list.
Okay. All right, so, Sarah.
So I just remember for years of hearing about it, and they said they were coming back after it being, let's see, it started in the 80s, and the last one is in 2018. And so they said, all right, we're going to bring it back in 2025. And so in the back of my head, I thought that would be so cool to do. It's kind of on my bucket list. So like Rhonda said, I emailed her and asked her, because she's the sanctioning officer. And so, she contacted Barb, the manager. She said yes. And the logistics kind of got worked out on how ride and tie works. And we explained, or rather Rhonda explained it to Barb. And then, they started advertising and such. And so in the back of my mind, I was like, I really want to do this, but I'm just not sure, because I haven't been able to condition much lately, myself or my horse. And so it got closer and closer. And I was like, Rhonda, I'm really worried. And Rhonda's response was, well, you walk all the time. And I said, yeah, I do. I mean, I walk all over the farm and the barn, up and down hills. And so I was planning on bringing my 2 horses, and we were going to rotate using them. They both had really weird wounds. And so I got Astros situated, but I could not get Orange. So I called Rhonda, and Rhonda said, we can bring Legacy. And I thought, okay, cool. So it just kind of manifested into that. And then honestly, most people probably don't know this, but I moved farms twice in 1 year. So financially, I was like, I don't know if I can make this work. And so Rhonda and Dave were kind enough to say, let us help you get there. So, which I can't tell you how grateful I am. Anyway, we loaded up. I drove to Rhonda's house, and my dad actually lives a few minutes from her. So I stayed with my dad, kept Astro, and then we started on our journey to Michigan.
Describe for me that race though, because it's very different.
So yeah. So they kind of start on a Sunday, I think, right, Sarah? They start on Sunday if you want to. So there's all these different variations of things you can do for that whole week. So you can do the 5 day, which is either you can do 50 every single day, which will put your horse's foot in one lake and put your horse's foot in the other lake at the end, which is
And that's the
250
shore to
miles.
shore. Right?
Yeah, 250. And that's called the, I think, traditional. Or you can do what Leslie and Emma and we did, the 5 day, 25 a day. Okay, you're going to do 125, and that's the Pioneer. You're every day, five days, 25 miles. Yeah. And then you could also, there were some variations, like you could change horses, or you could, change distances if you wanted to. There was another package for that. But originally we had two teams going. It was going to be me and Leslie on Ray, and then Sarah and Renee on her two horses. But Renee got injured and could not make it. So then that was like Tuesday before, right, Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah, like last minute. And so I said, fine, I will be Sarah's partner, and Leslie will go do the 25 a day for 5 days on Ray Endurance. And then Emma, who we had just recently met doing equithons, the gateway drug to the gateway, way to Ride and Tie, also went and brought her horse. So we had this, I can't say it enough, this great group of women, that the four of us just, because I can tell you this ride, you're right. So Sunday and Monday, you're in the same camp. But then Tuesday, you pack your stuff up, and we paid somebody to move our trailer every day. I mean, if you didn't have some crew, that's what you had to do. And yeah, you moved every day through to Friday. And it's not for the faint of heart. I can tell you, it's not. It's not. But our crew got so efficient because you had to pack water for the vet check. There wasn't water at the vet checks. So you had to every night get all this water ready for the vet check the next day. And in addition to the water you needed at your campsite. Again, my crew, they were just amazing. We put Emma and Leslie in charge of meals, and Sarah and I did the horses. Yeah, it was hard. That was how I would explain it. It's hard, but it was so worth it. It was so worth it.
Oh, great. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. If I had realized in advance this might be the last year they had done it, we might have worked a little harder to get up there and do it, because it does sound so fun. But I hear you about hard. Well, between the two of you, just walk us through your competition, what you did, both the two of you, and we also like to hear about Leslie and Emma and what they did as well. So just kind of go day by day how it all worked, and stories and things you remember about it.
Sarah, you want to start with Monday? Which was hot. It was so hot.
My biggest thing, my personal challenge is I didn't get my electrolytes correct. But the trail was beautiful till about, I don't know, 3 miles before the vet check. And then it was this beastly hot. You couldn't half the time find the trail to the vet check. I mean, it was like a forest that had been forested, decimated in a sense, but it was starting to grow back. So there was all these short little oak trees, if I remember correctly, and little pine trees, and we were barreling through those, and half the time we couldn't see the trail. But anyway, we got to the vet check, all was well, then it was an out and back. And so, we came back through the beastly hot. And then, as we got closer to camp, I was cramping. I think, Rhonda, you were cramping.
Yep.
I don't know why I had that much trouble personally, but I did. So, that started the ball rolling for some of my problems. But anyway, that was fun. But the coolest thing was after that ride, we went to go sit in the river. We took the horses down to the river, and then we went to sit in the river, you know. And then, you know, again, like Rhonda said, you want to have your downtime, but you have to keep moving to, you know, you get back from the ride and you've got to start thinking, all right, where are we going tomorrow? You know, what do we need to pack up in the away vet check stuff? What do we need to leave in the trailer? What do we need to do for the rig mover? You know, all those kinds of things. And by the end, we'd become a well-oiled machine. But that's what I remember about Monday.
Yeah. So then Tuesday, we wake up very early because everybody starts at 7.
Yeah.
And so we wake up early, of course, and we have to totally pack up camp. And then the horse we're leaving behind, you tie it to the trailer with a bucket of water and a hay bag. And the people who move you are absolutely angels. They load your horse, and when you find your trailer at the end of your 25 miles, your horse is tied there with a bucket of water and a hay net, and everything's great. So yeah, so Tuesday, Sarah and I had trouble kind of remembering Tuesday, so I think it must have gone pretty well.
We rode Legacy, and he was so much fun to ride. For me personally, my stirrups were super, super short. And I know, so that just jacked my legs up. But I remember we followed the Ausable River, which was really pretty. And the trails were really good on that day. And I don't know, I remember Tuesday being really fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Wednesday was the tough one.
Yeah. And I will say when we finish our 25 miles, we have to get in the trailer and then drive to the next camp, because the 50 milers go from camp to camp, but the 25 milers, because they end at the midway point, in a sense, we have to drive and, you know, reset up camp and everything. But yeah, Wednesday was beautiful the first half.
We were like, yeah.
I mean, yeah. Basically, they had an ice storm back in the winter, and so the trails had not been cleaned up. So we hit that second half of the trail. Half the time we could not find the trail.
Wait, back up now. At the ride meeting, there was supposed to be a detour
right.
sign.
Yes. I forgot about that. Yes, there was supposed to be a detour sign.
Right. And so, like she's saying, the first part was beautiful. We're like, this is great. This is going to be a great day. The temperatures are beautiful. Oh my goodness.
And by that morning, we had figured out our rhythm, because Rhonda and I both, you know, I take kids out all the time. I'm really slow, and we're just tootling along. You know, Rhonda and Dave are a lot more competitive than me personally. And so by Wednesday morning, we had figured out how to work together, as weird as that sounds, but we had. And so when we hit that second part of the trail, yeah, it was just, there were so many downed trees. It was literally bushwhacking. And there were several times we couldn't even find the trail markers. And they had, so I am super old school, as most people know. I do not like technology, but we did have Ride with GPS. So thankfully I had downloaded that, and I got on there, and we were, you know, we'd walk around and I'm like, okay, it's over here, but there was nothing. So we finally somehow found it, but we wasted a lot of time, you know, hop skipping around and just bushwhacking. I mean, Astro's feet, or rather fetlocks, will cut up. You know, I've never had that trouble with him, but I think the trail was just so bad and there was so much down stuff, you know. Anyway, so Rhonda, you carry on from there.
Well, that's I did say some choice words. Sarah was awesome with her little GPS thing. Man, she kept us right. She'd go, it says we're on the trail. And I was on the ground, like going through trees, and then I'd find some marker on some tree down on the ground, because we're looking for these little blue markers. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it took us forever.
Yeah.
And we weren't the only ones. Everybody else, a lot of people quit after that.
Yeah.
So we certainly weren't the only ones. Yes, that did try my patience that day. But we made it. Whew. And
the funniest thing that I remember is we were at this intersection and you were asking me to text Leslie and ask her something about the trail. And you were also asking me if we were correct. And right at that moment, I lost cell service. And I was like, Rhonda, hang on a minute.
And I'm like, I'm not stepping one more foot, not one more foot till I know which way to go.
It was so funny.
It was.
but we ended up going the right way and we found the markers again. But the worst part was over, but then we were just so tired and worn out. It seemed like it felt like it took forever to do like the last mile to get to the vet check.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. And it was like on a long sandy road, which you see it and you're like, okay, it's got to be up there, but it wasn't. And then
it was 2 miles on a straight sand road. That's right. Just 2 miles straight. Oh my gosh. And I asked somebody, I'm like, how much further? And this lady goes, and we'd already been on it. She's like, oh, it's 2 miles back. And I'm like, what? And then another guy comes by and he's like, oh, it's only a quarter of a mile. Well, no, he lied too. Oh, goodness. Yeah. But we did make it. And then at the meeting that night, this will be the thing I think, that I'll always remember. And I'm going to use this forever. I am. At the meeting that night, he says, well, that sign was there 2 weeks ago. Oh, my word. Yes. So anyway, that was the hardest. Yeah. And then Thursday morning, Sarah didn't feel well.
Yeah. And
so I switched over to endurance on Legacy and went with Leslie and Emma. And it was really cool. I mean, I wanted Sarah to do it with me, but I wasn't looking forward to crossing that river first thing in the morning when it was 52 degrees. But that was the start for Thursday was we crossed a river. We got to see a lot of people get dumped. So we hung back and waited till they all crossed. Yeah. But that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm glad because I woke up and wasn't feeling well. I'm glad that they let Rhonda carry on, because we come so far to get there to do all this. And even though I didn't get to go Thursday, it was kind of fun being the crew because I got to hang out a little bit with the rig drivers because I went ahead and drove Emma's rig to get to where we needed to go to meet them. So anyway, yeah, Thursday was fun for me too.
And part of what I'm hearing is it is so true of Ride Diana endurance is if you can't constantly be flexible, it's just not the sport for you because there's always gonna be something coming up and you're gonna have to figure out how you fix whatever just happened and all that. So yeah. But maybe this one even doubly so.
Yeah, exactly. Because you got to move,
right.
You can't stay there. You've got to move and pick up camp and go. And like I said, everybody just did an amazing job. I can't say enough that the four of us being deprived of sleep and everything else. And I know like every day you had to go take your rider card and get a new one. And check in the evening. You had to let them know what horse you were riding and the distance and all that kind of stuff. You had to check in. And I know I woke up Thursday night, Leslie and I were in the trailer, and I woke up like at 10 because, we went to bed at like 9. And I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I forgot the cards. We forgot the cards. And Leslie jumps up and runs out of the trailer and she's asking Emma. And we had done it at 3 o'clock that day and they were already on the saddles,
Yeah.
But it was, you can think 5 days of those rider cards and making sure they're on your saddle and everything. And everybody was wonderful there. Like, everybody would help you. The vets were good. They just, it really was a beautiful campsite, usually by the river, beautiful weather, spectacular. Yeah, we lucked out on that.
We really did. Because after Monday, that hot day, it really started getting more fall-like, and it was really nice.
Yeah, yeah. And then Friday, I went again on Legacy with Emma and Leslie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Saturday morning, that was it for us. So Saturday morning, then we started the drive back home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk just briefly. We talked about being flexible, and part of the flexibility there was Leslie thought up until a couple of days before she was doing ride and die, she ended up doing endurance all 5 days. Is that correct?
Yes.
And had some success. So let's brag a little bit on Leslie and on Ray, right? Was it Ray?
Yes. Yes.
So tell us about what they did.
So Monday, she did the 25 every day. So Monday, she won Monday and was BC with Ray. Tuesday, we talked about it and decided, she should take it easy. So her and Emma went together and had a fun day riding together. And then Wednesday, and that was the day that was going through, somebody counted 71 down trees. Wow. So yeah, she won that day too and was BC also. Then Thursday took it easy. We all rode together, Emma, myself, and Leslie. And Friday we rode together. I was top 10 on Legacy both Thursday and Friday, and then he got high vet score Friday. But overall, Ray won the Pioneer, the 5-day 25s. He won it. So that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we should say, and this is in another one of our tongue-tied videos, Ray also was the winning horse this year in the World Championship short course with Leslie and Emma. And so if you want to hear about them and get to know them a little bit, find that video on our YouTube channel as well.
Now, I do want to add that out of the, Sarah, how many horses started the 25 5-day thing? You think
oh gosh,
20, 30?
Probably 20, 25, 30. Yeah.
And only 5 completed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Emma was one of those. She also completed the 5-day thing. But out of like 30 horses, only 5 completed it.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great testimony to them and the horses, and maybe a little bit of testimony how tough riding type ponies have to be too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, you guys are board members, and so I want to close by asking you to just what do you think the ride and tie community maybe should hear from you and from the board, and maybe if there are folks who are thinking of joining the ride and tie community as board members, what would you like for them to know or hear?
The more involved you can be, the more it's going to help spread the word. If you go to an endurance ride and ride and tie is not there yet, try to add it. It's easy. Don't feel like, it's going to be a total burden. It's really easy if you talk to the ride manager, and we try to spread ride and tie more probably to the middle of the United States right now. We've got the East covered good. We've got it in the West. We need to keep spreading, into that middle area.
I guess my motto is always to ride, run, and have fun. And our ride and tie community is super fun, even though some of us are super competitive. At the end of the day, we're one giant family. And our thing is just really to keep the sport going and get more people involved. So and if anybody out there wants to come on board and be on the board and bring new whatever to us, please do. We're always looking for new ideas, and like Rhonda said, keep spreading it and getting it in other parts of the United States. So yeah.
And as we said earlier, Rhonda is our sanctioning officer, so she is more than willing to help anybody that wants to try to get a riding tie and going. But I can speak, I know for Sarah and for me, get in touch with us. We will help you as much as we possibly can, and that'll be a lot. If there's particularly there's an endurance ride it's really easy to add a ride and tie to it. And for the ride manager, in some ways, it's just free money because they get entries they might not have gotten otherwise. And it's not hard. They've already marked the trail. They already have the vets. Everything is kind of set up. And so talk to Rhonda, but you can also talk to Sarah or me or go on the website. All of our board members' contact information is there, and any of the board members be happy to help.
Yeah.
In planning this, I've been thinking, what are some other places where we could do some of these point-to-point races? But I can't imagine how complicated it is for a ride manager. You don't have to have just one ride camp. You had to have multiple ride camps, and figuring out where the midpoint is for the vet check. That was tough. So our hats off definitely to Barb and those that planned that. And who knows? Maybe you'll come back in years to come. They think this may have been the last one, but who knows? We'll see.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you guys out there for too long.
All righty. Absolutely.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.